Do you want to build presets inside of the Pod Go, but you don't know where to start? Well, you're in luck, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how easy it is. Hey there, it's Scott at the Pedal Guy. How you doing? Well, we're all about pedal demos, pedal knowledge, and pedal sales. I love pedals, and so do you. If this is your first visit to the channel, make sure you click on that subscribe button down there so you can stay up to date with all of our videos. In this video, I'm going to take you through how to build a preset with the Line 6 Pod Go. Now, it's an amazing processor, and it has so much potential that you need to unlock, and you can do that by one of two ways. One way you can do it is by accessing the actual unit itself, but what I found works much better is a combination of working with the unit itself and the included software. All you need to do is just simply download the latest firmware from the Line 6 website along with the Pod Edit software. Once that's all installed, you're ready to go, and that's what we're going to do now. All right, the first thing we're going to do is select an amp and a cabinet. Now, the good news is with the Pod Go, you have so many amps to choose from. By default, the Fender Twin is your default amp, and it's a good generic starting point. But I think that there are just so many here to play with. Everything from the most vintage to the most modern, all points in between. And of course, there's plenty of bass amps too. For this example, I'm going to be using the Bassman Bright channel. And I found that that worked really well for me. So if I double click on that, it will launch that amp, and you can now see all of the various parameters of that amp available to me here, where I can make adjustments by either clicking and dragging with my mouse. I can also use the scroll wheel if my mouse has one. Just have a listen to it. Really, really nice sound. However, in the interest of time, what I did is I went ahead and created a preset with this amp, and I adjusted the parameters. So let's take a quick look. Okay, so if I go to that amp, that preset, here it is. I pulled the drive way back, I pulled the bass way back, I boosted the treble, I also pulled the sag back, I introduced some hum, and I made sure that the bias is pretty much right there at about the 60% mark. And that gives me a really nice solid sound. Now, I know you're hearing other things in there, but that's actually being handled by the cabinet. So if I go to the right, to the cabinet here, you can see that the microphone is a 112 dynamic. I have no distance, so it's right up to the grill. I kept the low cut and high cut right where it needs to be, I think. And as far as that sort of hollow sound, that's the early reflection. So if I pull that back, it sounds good, but I like to have it kind of up here to give it a different personality. Now, the other thing to keep in mind here is the microphone itself. If we click on the microphone dialog, here are all of the microphones that are available to you. And this is where you can use that combination that I spoke of using the amp, the Line 6 Pod Go interface itself, and the software. So I can use this as a means to scroll up and down the microphones and find the one that I want. See, I really like the 112 dynamic because in this case I want a more brassy sound, and a condenser and a ribbon mic is just not going to deliver on that. So I felt that the 112 was the right call. Okay, let's start all the way at the left of our signal path here, and let's go through each one of the blocks. So all the way here to the far left is the input. Now this is where you can select a gate if you want one, and I have mapped it actually to the bottom right foot switch so I can turn it off and on at any given moment. Going to the right of that, we have the volume pedal, which is just the standard default volume pedal. We have a wah-wah pedal here, and I opted to go with the chrome because I like the way that sounds. But here is where we start adding in compression, and we start adding in distortion or overdrive, and then everything else that we're going to pop into this as well. So what I did here is I decided to go with a compressor in the front. Now normally I don't, but I felt that this sounded really good. And I've got the tube compressor, but I have all of these other ones to choose from, but I felt the tube sounded really decent. So if you want to activate it, I've actually mapped it to the upper left foot switch here. And what I really like about this particular compressor is that it's just so dead easy. You just have the threshold and the level. So it honestly doesn't get much easier than that. But let's go to the right, and let's go to our next signal block here, which is the distortion/overdrive. Now you can change this to anything you want. You can change it to dynamic, EQs, modulation, all of that stuff. But I think traditionally, since we're making a blues rock patch here, or preset, I want to use an overdrive. Now, I don't want to use a distortion. I don't want to use a fuzz. Because I think that just goes way over the top. So I've opted to go with the Minotaur, which is a Klon Centaur. Now, the cool thing, of course, about the signal flow here is that if you want to change the direction, like you want to change the order of those signal blocks, just click and drag, and you can put the overdrive before the compressor if you want to, and that gives you a very different sound. Before we go any further, make sure you take a second and click on the Save to Library function here so you can name it, place it in a different location if you want to, and then click OK, just to make sure you save your work. You don't want to lose work as you're going through building a preset. Now, if I turn up the amp, if I turn up the preset at this point, it's a little noisy. It's a little noisy, so I've got a gate already set to go. Just makes life a little easier, doesn't it? Let's go further down the signal chain here, and let's go to the equalizer. So I'm using a tilt EQ, and this is just to add a little sweetener to it. So here's without. So we're getting really grungy here. Now you can see why I pulled the drive back on the amp. You don't need any more drive than that because the Centaur is going to, or the Minotaur, is going to do all the work for you there. Now, further down the signal chain here, the final two blocks, we've got a tape delay and we have a tile reverb. You can still get pinch harmonics out of this amp. I just love the Bassman amp. So if I turn off the delay is more there just to kind of be used as a soloing instrument. If I turn off everything, here's what we had before. Okay, that's how we build a preset inside of the Pod Go. Now I know I glazed over this a bit, but that's because there's going to be more videos for this overall series. I left a link in the video description below so you can download this preset and play with it, hopefully use it on something. But in a future video, what I'll do is I'll show you how to assign all of those effects and everything to the foot switches of the Pod Go so that you can have even more fun with it. But hope that helped you out, and we will see you soon. Well, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any further questions, be sure to visit us at thepedalguide.com. But in the meantime, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and also be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for weekly videos and tutorials. Thanks for stopping by here at thepedalguide.com, where I love pedals and so do you.